computer.
Hi, back in the shed, Our next Tales from the Shed. So what's really amazing, so I'm Alison.
I'm Anne.
And what we have a great guest for you this time, and it's Rachael Kennard Wall, whose speciality is systematic kinesiology and psyche. And I was trying to explain this to Anne very badly. So Rachael, maybe you could try and just give us a quick flavour of what it is that you do and how you help people.
Yeah, sure. I think the best way of explaining it, and it would be the same for both methods, is that essentially through the process and the techniques that I use, it's like asking the body, what does it need? What do you need right now? So I often think of it as like you sat in a room and you're having that conversation with your higher self and your body and saying, okay, this is where I want my health to be, or this is where I want my life to be. How do we get there? Because essentially your body knows the chain of events that have happened, and it knows really the best way to get there as quickly as possible. So I suppose in many ways I'll act as an interpreter for the body.
That sounds really fascinating. So the belief is, from what you're saying, that everything that has happened to us, please stop me if I get on the wrong path, but everything that's happened to us has kind of left a bit of a memory or a trace or something around us, physically or in our energy body. Where do you feel that is, and how would you go about finding that information?
Yeah, sure. So physically, energetically, emotionally, all levels really. With psyche, there's a health and well-being and a life patterns angle to it, but also helping you to a spiritual development as well. So helping you to communicate with your higher self and actually reach those things that you always keep coming back to in life and they're not quite happening, but those dreams or those aspirations or those thoughts, they keep popping in. They're meant to be. You're meant to be there to experience them. So it can help to connect that through psyche. But through both methods, we use, if you're in person, you use muscle testing. Okay. So the best way to explain it is that if something's 100% healthy, that there's no stress or negative thought associated with it, that you're firing on all cylinders. When you do a muscle test, you can keep testing that muscle and it will stay strong. But if there's something that needs addressing in that area, then on the first test or with repeated testing, the muscle will start to go weak. So that's your clue. Okay, there's something we need to be dealing with here.
Yeah.
And at kinesiology level, you would then ask, okay, is that a priority then? Because it might be weak, but it might not be the first step you need to take. And if it is a priority, you can then ask, is it something that's nutritional, to do with the foods that you're eating? Is it to do with emotions? Is it to do with the structure or that the electrical systems of the body, but also what you're exposing yourself to, computers, mobile phones, and all the rest of it. Yeah. So you can ask on that level, and then on a psyche level, you then just ask, and then you also ask, okay, is it safe and appropriate to work with this right now? Is this also something that you're consciously aware of or subconscious? And then you can drill down and find out. So that's it on an in-person level. Online, I've got it here actually. we reach the same answers using a pendulum.
Oh, now we get spooky.
The lovely thing. Yeah. I mean, I have to say, I have had a session with Rachael this week, which was pretty intense and mind-blowing. So it was interesting to see.
And that was online, wasn't it?
It was online, so yeah, with a pendulum.
Using the pendulum.
Yeah.
And really felt that connection. Because if energy's energy, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't, we're it's whether you're online or in person, it's kind of. I think what really intrigues me about kinesiology and talking to you today is that it doesn't feel. I see people and they say they have to write notes about what they think is wrong and get it all ready, and it feels sort of really no pressure. It's like, I don't know what's wrong. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I just don't feel right. And it feels like that's a really nice place. So if people don't feel right, or it just feels not, it feels you can work with that, which feels really freeing.
Yeah, and at the same time, I think, because what was good, we had the session, so we have to almost have we had a kind of diagnostic session first, didn't we?
Yeah, so you talk about what's going on that you want to change.
Yeah, so it was almost like we could have a conversation about all of that. And what was great was then Rachel could come back to me and said, well, you said this word quite a lot, and you said that word quite a lot. So that seems to be something. So I think it was stepping, it wasn't, it was all this whole thing about moving forward and stepping and stepping.
Yeah.
So even whatever the issue, that it might look different in this world, physically in this world, what was amazing was the language that was connected with that was all similar, and you were able to point that out. Yeah,
because I remember a couple of times you went, oh, I'm using that word again, and then it's because you talk about how things are and then how you want to be, and it's dream big. Seriously, what is it that you really feel in your heart of hearts you would love your life to be? And that's the bit we don't always get the opportunity to do, is to really 100% what is it that I want, because there's every chance it's possible, and it's only when you bring that into your conscious awareness that you talk about it. And often in the sessions, because there might be a couple of areas in your life or conditions that you want to work with, and it's only when you talk about them all together you realize, oh, hang on, I think this actually, it's I'm using the same words, or that keeps coming back. I can see how they're all connected. And the beauty of a Psych-A session is you also don't need to know the answers, because sometimes you can think you know what needs to be changed, because at least when you're working with them, like the structure of a positive affirmation, so you can think you know what it is, but it might be not the first step, as I mentioned earlier, but it also might not be that either. That could be the product of another belief sitting behind it, and then you can get to that very quickly.
Yeah. Do you often find that people think they're coming because their career's going wrong, and it is actually that they're holding a grudge against somebody from childhood? I'm making that up off the top of my head, and they're extremes. But do you find that quite often, that you're coming up with something and somebody goes, gosh, I haven't thought about it that way?
Yep. It happens time and time again in a session, where, because when you're working with something that's subconscious, I have all these sheets that are about different areas of life. Again, with the when you're using, for example, online, the pendulum, is it something that's conscious? You see yes or no. If it's a no, is it something that's subconscious? Yes. Okay. Then you drill down to find out the statement. And sometimes it's a starting point for then what it's going to be. Other times, and a lot of times in a session, somebody will go, oh my God, okay, I would never have ever come up with that. But now you've said it, I can completely see how that fits.
Yeah.
And happens all the time.
No, because I think that's the really nice thing that kinesiology does. That, as you say, if people have their own answers and know what's right and wrong, then they almost, it's within there. But when we go to look for help from someone else, we don't always know what help we want.
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
And I think that's where it's really good, don't you? The kinesiology.
I think it's great. I mean, I have had muscle testing, and I've had, in the past, I've been to a person where I went, physically, there, and she do the whatevers. But it was like, I found it quite interesting to do it remotely and get the results that I got, and it was. And it was almost like, and I remember you kind of saying, ask, is there another issue? And going, yes. Oh my God.
Layers.
No other issues. It was just that one thing. No.
And it was quite interesting at the end where it just said, is there another issue? I went, yes. And then you said, is it safe? And I went, no.
No, not now.
I was actually quite grateful, because at the time I was like thinking, it's been pretty intense, and we'd covered a lot of ground. And I was like thinking, I need to let those things settle. And then go next time. So it was pretty amazing. And I've shared the things around this morning, what I said. And so I think you can resonate with some of them, but also you can see how they relate to me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I can see that. But I think what I love about it is that I don't have to have all of my issues and all of my hopes and dreams. I don't have to have it all done. I just come along thinking, it just doesn't feel right. Can you help?
Yeah.
Can you help me structure it?
Yes.
And then say there are other things, but not now, or there's something that is now, and that thing that you thought was now is not, and that sort of idea. So I do think, from what I can see, that I would definitely recommend kinesiology if you're in that place. It's like, I want to achieve more in life. And I think you said at one point, and I agree absolutely, which is, people don't always have a fullest understanding of what their life could be.
No, 100%.
Yeah, I think we all think this is it. As long as we reach whatever that is, that's, you know, I'm lucky to get there and lucky to count my legs and get past one. But it's kind of, actually, there's more in us energetically to bring out. And do you find that works quite a lot in your life, sort of bringing out those things?
Yeah, so just want to just touch upon the other point as well, because that's what I absolutely love about the kinesiology and the psyche, is because you're asking. I think I was brought up well, you know, P's and Q's, and you ask, don't tell. But my initial background was as a McTimoney chiropractor, so within that training, you come from your learned knowledge, assess somebody, and then make the decision to what you think is the best treatment. And there's times when it's not the best treatment, or there's things that you can see, but it's not the right time to be talking about it. And so I'm no longer, I need to be clear, I'm no longer registered as a chiropractor. But and that's what I absolutely love about the kinesiology and the psyche, is because you're always asking. There can be something really big and traumatic that somebody comes in and wants to work with. Sometimes you might never actually even need to think about it in a session. But if you ever did, it will be when all the fundamentals in place and you're in the place to receive that, and it's the right time. And for me, that's supposed to make my hands there. It's phenomenal. I just absolutely love. I just love that, because it's always, you're doing the best for the person that you're working with. And then to address the other question that you asked is, I think from conditioning that we're taught not to have the expectations. We don't realize the possibilities that are there. And sometimes, you know, it's a step in the right direction. You can build on it, that as you experience things. But, you know, have people in their mid 30s saying, I suppose I should expect that at my age. No, you shouldn't. You know, particularly when people are younger than me, thinking, no, you shouldn't expect that. But, you know, for whatever belief systems that's in place, and, you know, our body up until we are no longer here, has the capacity to heal and to recover. Just depends that your starting point, or how long. And actually, it's not always a case of how long something's been in place. If it's purely subconscious mind, it has the capacity to change very quickly. But we just there's so much more we can expect to achieve from our health and to live within our lives. And that's the one big thing, is, you know, you just dream big, go for the bigger picture, because there's every chance you can get there. And yes, it might, the kinesiology or the psyche might be only the first part of that journey, but it's possible.
I will be ringing you tomorrow. Lovely to speak with you, Rachel. What we'll do is
as usual, our guests, we know there's many more things. So what we're going to do is going to have you back for another session on the shed.
I'd love that.
Now, that's great. But I think to leave people with that thought that actually, you know,
you can be as you can be all you want to be.
That's it.
Because you're never going to be the thing you don't want to be. I don't want to be a footballer, so I don't even have a dream for it.
So that's it. So what we're saying to people who are listening to this is just dream big. Okay, and we'll come back to that one next time.
Okay,
thank you.